Oh.
Let's just get this out of the way. There are two types of gamers who play Getting Over It. Those that are good at the game, and those that are not. If you're good at this game, or at least patient with this game and understanding of its mechanics, then you'll tolerate this game at the least. If you're not good at Getting Over It, well, let's just say that you'll likely be paying for more than just a digital copy of this game. That's because Getting Over It with BENNETT FODDY, or just Getting Over It for short, is absolute hell for most people. Don't believe me? What do you see on YouTube when you search up content of Getting Over It? Most likely it's the latest speedrun attempt or a Markiplier Let's Play, and this game practically broke him, just like it broke several naive YouTubers. But not this one! I'm not here to brag about it. I won't talk about how I've beaten the game 2 times now. I won't say that I actually gained some serenity to this game, or that the narration and music and controls didn't get on my nerves. I'm here to break down Getting Over It with BENNETT FODDY. And maybe I'm a little bit of a masochist.
It's just you and the hammer, and the pot.
Getting Over It with BENNETT FODDY is a video game that could either be the longest and most difficult game that you've ever played, or one of the shortest and most tolerable. This game originally came out on Microsoft Windows and Steam in December 2017, and has been ported to Android in April 2018. The difficulty and length of this game rest on a scale, with your emotions determining the weights that go on each pedestal. The calmer you are, the less mistakes you'll likely make, even though you'll always make some in this game. The more frustrated you are, well, have you ever tried to stop a row of dominoes once they start to topple over each other? Basically, it's entirely possible to beat this game in 30 to 60 minutes, but 99% of normal people will take 30 to 60 hours instead. Probably, hyperbolically, your frustration may vary. Anyway, an uncommon trinket of knowledge about Getting Over It is that it isn't an original game. It's technically an asset flip with resources and models purchased from the Unity store and set up with the care and precision of an F5 Tornado. Hell, the main protagonist that you play as is even the store's default human male model. Makes you wonder how we got into the indie derivative of Super Smash Bros. I honestly never knew that before writing this review. It certainly pays to do some research. What this game does is it pays homage to an older game called Sexy Hiking, made by Czech developer Jazuo in 2002. BENNETT FODDY makes that very clear to you through his informative/obnoxious narrations, assuming you've made it past the tree. It's honestly shocking that some people never make it past the tree.
Easy does it in this section. Which is not to say it's easy, just take it easy.
The controls to Getting Over It are easy to learn, impossible to master. You'll tolerate or hate them, and you'll never understand them as BENNETT FODDY seemingly set these controls, alongside this entire game, just to piss you off. Didn't piss me off though, lol. Sometimes, you might be wondering if you're controlling the man in the cauldron, or the Yosemite hammer he's swinging around like Thor's Mjolnir. The hammer itself seems to have its own gravity, and the Cauldron Man is merely its humble guide. You only need your mouse for this game, and a fair amount of space to move it around, or the touchscreen for the Android version. I've heard recommendations that you should get a mouse with at least 7000 DPI and up, but I don't think I had that when I beat the game again for the sole purpose of this review. I mean, look at the mouse that I used. It gets the job done, but it's certainly no racing mouse. Most people will probably end up muting the general audio in Getting Over It. The sheer frustration that the average person will feel about this game will magnify their feelings toward the standard mechanics of a video game. BENNETT FODDY's narrations, pities, and sarcasms.
Sorry about that.
The grunting sounds that Diogenes the Cauldron Man makes.
No.
The vintage music that plays when you go down the road feeling bad.
Going down the road feeling bad and I ain't going to be treated this way.
Still, could be worse. You could have Bubsy narrating Getting Over It instead. That would be a new kind of torture that mankind would be quick to outlaw. There's next to no story in Getting Over It, only anger and pain for the common folk. We only have BENNETT FODDY as the narrator, and Diogenes as the main protagonist that you play as. How did he get his name? Well, Diogenes was the name of an ancient Greek philosopher who was known for protesting society by sleeping in a pot in the marketplace of Athens. How did he get that hammer? I don't know. Probably in Nidavellir. How did you get that hole in the wall?
It's made of bullshit!
Oh no.
BENNETT FODDY himself lends his voice to this game, much to the chagrin of the people playing this game. Many people do find his narration annoying, mostly because the game does a good job of frustrating people already. However, if you listen to his narration, certain lines in particular, you'll find some wisdom in them. He warns you, first and foremost, that you shouldn't play this game if you're already having a bad day. Kinda like the Joker, only he dealt with more tolerable things than getting over it.
Get what you fucking deserve!
He also explains how his infamous asset flip of a game is to pay homage to Jasual Christ.
No amount of forward progress is guaranteed. Some cliffs are too sheer or too slippery, and the player is constantly, unremittingly in danger of falling and losing everything.
Time to interpret these seemingly obnoxious words of wisdom. Getting over it is meant to be difficult through finicky mechanics and intentionally frustrating game design. It's meant to test you in ways that few video games can. Dark Souls, Sekiro, NES games. In my experience as a gaming YouTuber, this game stands from Undertale, Jevil from Deltarune, the Extreme Behemoth before Monster Hunter World's Iceborne expansion, and Yozora. Challenges were made to be beaten. Determination, often intertwined with frustration, will eventually lead to exhilarating success. And while those games don't exactly send you back to the beginning when you lose against their toughest bosses, the challenge is still there. It's simply up to you if you want to persevere. Anyway, after talking about the tree that is at the start of the game, BENNETT FODDY does raise a point about difficulty in certain video games.
Most obstacles in video game worlds are fake. You can be completely confident in your ability to get through them once you have the correct method, or the correct equipment, or just by spending enough time.
There's a reason that people complain about Pokemon games being too easy, and that a hard mode should be introduced. It's what gave birth to Nuzlocke runs anyway, a self-inflicted set of rules that implements an artificial challenge to main Pokemon titles. RPGs tend to be a numbers game, level 1 to level 100. The higher the number, the easier the game seemingly becomes. That's not always true though, as games like Kingdom Hearts, Monster Hunter, and Octopath Traveler have bosses that are capable of beating you, no matter how perfect your characters and party appear to be. In that case, it's no longer a numbers game, it's you versus the game. After several paragraphs of narration about building getting over it, he starts to get into a surprising amount of detail about garbage.
Things are made to be consumed and used in a certain context, and once the moment is gone, they transform into garbage. In the context of technology, those moments pass by in seconds. Over time, we've poured more and more refuse into this vast digital landfill that we call the internet. It now vastly outnumbers and outweighs the things that are fresh and untainted and unused. When everything around us is cultural trash, trash becomes the new medium, the lingua franca of the digital age. And you can build culture out of trash. But only trash culture. B games, B movies, B music, B philosophy. Maybe this is what digital culture is. A monstrous mountain of trash, the ash heap of creativity's fountain. A landfill with everything we ever thought of in it. Grand, infinite, and unsorted.
This can and has been interpreted in many different ways, but for brevity's sake, I'll analyze the statement personally. For someone like me, who is attempting to make a name for themselves online, it's a long, uphill road to climb. I've tried and still try through a few different ways: online fanfiction writing, digital art, and video gaming content. And even though I'm focusing my attention through two of those three things, I do want to finish that fanfic someday. Things that mean the world to me. Acknowledgement, loyalty, and respect for what I do and the time I take to do it, even if you think my content is substandard or not. Things that aggravate me. Absence, impertinence, disregard. Don't be a dead subscriber, to me or to anyone else. When it comes to writing stories or drawing pictures and posting them online, I had the impression that there was a bit more glue holding my growth together. But YouTube, and in some ways Twitter, is a different story. On YouTube, it feels as though I'm often holding sand, and that sand is constantly seeping through my fingers, no matter how tight I think my grip on it is. I could care less if people like or dislike my content, or if people subscribe or unsubscribe. All I care about is if people are always around to enjoy what it is that I do. That's also why I try to be around for other YouTubers that I want to see succeed, because there's no greater disrespect than to be ignored. Fortunately, I've realized that to stay relevant on YouTube, or to have a shot at even a shred of luck, you have to evolve or try new things. That's why I created a second YouTube channel. It's just one of my plans for 2020, but it's probably the one plan that matters to me the most. And so far, it seems to be working. Though it's still a seed, hardly beginning to sprout. So, Bennett Foddy continues his narration, speaking about people who watch other people play games and others who admirably do it themselves. But then he begins to change his overall tune. His shell of sarcasm and witty remarks begins to crack, and he slowly acknowledges your abilities.
What's the feeling like? Are you stressed? I guess you don't hate it if you got this far. Feeling frustrated? It's underrated.
That's basically how I felt when playing Getting Over It and beating it twice. The first time was as a Let's Play on my YouTube channel, and the second time was to freshen my memory of this game for review purposes. This game, honestly, didn't bother me anywhere near the point where I screamed at the top of my lungs. Hell, I actually like the challenge, the narrations by Bennett Foddy, the vintage music that plays when you lose some progress. I've even found this music and added it to my MP3 library.
It feels like we're closer now. Composer and climber, designer and user. You could have refused, but you didn't. There was something in you that was hidden, that chose to continue. It means a lot to me that you've come this far, endured this much. Every wisecrack, every insensitivity, every setback you've forgiven me is a kingly gift that you've given me. We have the same taste, you and I. It's not ambition, it's ambition's opposite. An obdurate mission to taste defeat. You'll feel bad if you win, so I put this snake in for you.
Don't go down the snake way, by the way. It'll take you right back to the beginning.
Now, you've conquered the ice cliff, the platforms, the church, and the rectory, the living room and the factory, the playground, the construction site, the granite rocks, and the lakeside. You've learned to hike.
And the more I played this game, the more I understood it. How to get past these mentioned obstacles in an effective and repeatable way, making my loss of progress less cumbersome. I learned how to control my mouse movements and minimize, to a degree, any potential errors that would set me back. In short, I was beginning to think like a speedrunner towards getting over it.
There's no way left to go but up, and in a moment I'll shut up. But let me say, I'm glad you came. I dedicate this game to you, the one who came this far. I give it to you with all my love.
Thank you very much, Bennett Foddy. I'm happy to have signed my name twice on your digital Mount Everest.
Sorry about the bats, by the way. That was uncalled for.
Unless you're a masochist, like myself, or a speedrunner, there's little incentive to play this game again after beating it. When you reach the top, the reward is—
You've done this part before. You know it's possible.
If you reach the top a grand total of 50 times, you get a gold cauldron. The perfect medal for insanity. You can also play this game to hear different quotes that Bennett Foddy says. And to conclude this review, I'll leave my favorite 2 quotes.